welcome to the Wester Ross Strathpeffer and Lochalsh Area Committee. We do have, so I'm Liz Craft, just taken over from chair as co-chair from Biz. So Councillor Campbell, thank you for chairing over the last year. We've got Councillor Patrick Logue, and we have apologies from Councillor Burt. So do we have any declarations of interest or any transparency statements?
No. I have no declarations of interest or transparency statements that came in before the meeting.
And we've none in the meeting. So, okay. So the minutes of the previous meeting on the 20th of February, approved at full council on the 9th of March, have been circulated to all for noting. We happy to note those?
Noted.
Okay. So the next item that is on the agenda is a report from the Scottish Fire and Rescue Area Committee. And I don't think we have anybody yet. And because of the emergencies that we're facing in Highland Council with fire, it would be understandable if they were unable to attend. So can we move to number 5, which is the housing performance report? That would be you, Derek Manson. Are you happy to give that report now?
Yes, that's fine, Chair. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Chair, and good morning, members. Thank you for inviting me to present this paper today. I'm joined by Colin Sharp, who is the repairs manager for the North, and Colin can answer any repairs or maintenance questions members may have later on. Members are invited to consider the information provided on housing performance in Ward 5 for the period 1st of April 2022 to 31st of March 2023. I'd like to highlight the main bullet points within the paper, and then myself and Colin can take any questions members have. In terms of emergency repairs, Table 1 at 5.3 shows the average time taken to complete emergency repairs was 9.3 hours in Q4, which is down from Q3, but within the Council's 14-hour target. In terms of non-emergency repairs, Table 2 at 5.6 shows the average time to complete non-emergency repairs was 8 days in Q4, which is on target and only slightly above the Highland average of 7.6 days. Under tenancy management, Table 3 at 6.2 shows the average time to relet void properties within Ward 5 was 44.47 days, which is out with the Council's 35-day target, but within the benchmarking target of 51.6 days. For members' awareness, it's the law of averages when it comes to void performance. So if you don't have that many voids and a couple of them are out with target, then that affects the performance figures disproportionately. We had a couple of low demand properties in Ward 5. One was in Alt Bay and one was in Lade, and they took a longer time to relet than normal because, as I say, they were low demand. So that's unfortunately and disproportionately affected the void performance figures for Ward 5. But in general, void performance is good within Ross-shire as a whole. In terms of rent arrears, Table 4 at 7.2 shows a continued increase in rent arrears within Ward 5. This is Highland wide. That's by no means unique to Ward 5 or any other ward. It's a Highland wide trend, unfortunately, impacting because of the cost of living crisis, etc. The housing team in Ross-shire continue to work with tenants to provide help and advice in relation to rent arrears and referring onwards to the likes of the council's welfare support team and CAB, etc., where necessary. In terms of homelessness, Table 5 at 8.4 shows there were 74 homeless presentations in Q4. This is the combined number of homeless presentations received across all the committees within Ross and Cromarty it's not possible to disaggregate those figures down to an actual area committee level, unfortunately. Chair, that concludes my summary of the report, and myself and Colin are happy to take any questions members may have. Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Campbell.
It's Derek, when you say Rossshire, Roads Department does the same. You mean Lochalsh, west of Ross and Strathpeffer?
Yes, Ward 5.
Intrusive.
I was referring to Ward 5 at an area committee level, but I was referring to Ross and Cromarty when I'm talking about, for example, the homeless figures, which are just the Ross and Cromarty figures.
So that's not Lochalsh at all?
No, not in terms of homelessness, for example.
It's very surprising nobody wants to live in Oak Bay.
It is, Councillor. It's one of these things that's not actually that far from, from Gairloch, which is incredibly popular in terms of housing, but I'm sure I don't need to explain that to local members. But yes, I'm afraid Lade and Alt Bay can sometimes be what we refer to as low demand in terms of housing need. It goes up and down, Councillor. It's not always the case. But in terms of void performance on this occasion, we had a couple of properties, as I said. One was in Old Bay and one was in Lade, and it took us quite some time to get them allocated, unfortunately.
Mm.
Okay, thanks. And any other questions? So if there's none from the other members, I've got a couple. One was actually, I was just wondering why there was a low demand in Alt Bay and Lade. That's just interesting to know. You've no particular reason for that. You've kind of answered that. The other thing was, and I just want to thank the roads team, the housing people, because I have been on the phone to you probably constantly, and you've just been brilliant following things up. But one of the things that's been raised with me quite a lot, probably because of the season we're in, is people unable to manage their gardens, particularly with disability. So I don't know if you're able to provide, I know there's a criteria for the council for people who are eligible for gardening help, and sometimes it is the community payback team. My understanding is they can only work once somewhere and can't go back. Are you able to provide any more information on that?
If I can come in there, Chair, thank you very much. Thank you for inviting me here. I'm not directly involved in the garden aid, so what I say may have to be taken with a small pinch of salt, if you like. My understanding is that the garden aid is fully subscribed, and that there has been difficulties in obtaining contractors that are both willing and able to do the work, especially in the outlying areas out with the main housing positions such as Dingwall, Alness, Invergordon and such like. So there is some real difficulties with that. We had been asked if we as a service, that's building maintenance, were able to pick that up and take that on. Unfortunately, I had to decline, as I just do not have the resources to carry out that role. I calculated out that it would take 2 of my labourers basically half a month every month for the next 4 months to do those cuts, and I just cannot afford to take my trades away from their day-to-day activities for something that is out with their remit. But I know that Brian Cameron has been looking at this intensely to try and find a way to assist these tenants with these problems.
And
Okay,
Chair,
thanks.
Chair, just in terms of the payback team, I'll take an action to email them and ask them. I think we communicated recently, Councillor, about a previous engagement I had with the payback team, but I shall take an action to email them again and just ask for an update on it. It's generally around capacity, unfortunately, Councillor Craft, but I shall speak to them again and see if they do have any capacity to assist.
Thank you very much. Councillor Campbell?
I just wanted to thank Derek for all his help. Honestly, of all the officers we go to, he is always on the ball replying to us. And thank you, Derek. We missed you when you left our area committee, but you're really good where you are. Thank you.
Thank you, councillors. Very kind. A team effort, it has to be said, but thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just second that. You've been brilliant as a housing team. Lots and lots of challenges, but you're always available. I always get responses. There's always someone I can speak to. So that's really, really appreciated. No more questions or comments. So we're just invited to consider the information provided and note it. We're happy to note that.
Noted.
Okay.
Agreed.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you,
Officers.
Chair.
Thank
Thank you.
you, Chair.
Thank you,
all.
members.
Thanks.
Bye.
So we're still, I don't think there's anybody from the fire service here, is there?
No, not yet.
No,
Chair.
that's fine. So are we ready? Sarah, James, now is it is it Gow Crooker?
Go Roger.
Go Roger.
Yeah.
Okay. So for a report on the Strathpeffer Conservation Area Appraisal and Management Plan. Okay, thank you.
Good morning, chairs, members and ward manager. I'm Sarah and I'm the Conservation Area Project Officer, and I'd like to thank you for this opportunity to join you today. I'm requesting that you please note the public comments in Appendix 1 and that you recommend that Economy and Infrastructure formally approve and adopt the Strathpeffer Conservation Area Appraisal and Management Plan, including the proposed boundary changes at their meeting of 17th of August, please. I feel it's important to stress that the report has been supported by the local community from the beginning, particularly the Community Council and the Strathpeffer Community Development Trust. The resulting draft report picks up their views, and I would like to take this opportunity to thank all the community groups involved throughout the process for their help. The report recommends changes to the conservation area boundary as outlined in Appendix 2. The areas to be incorporated comprise notable buildings contemporary with the development of historic Strathpeffer that reflect the town's varied architectural character and style. The areas to be removed, although having value in their own right, do not contribute to the special architectural or historic interest of the conservation area and do not satisfy the statutory test of being of special architectural or historic interest. The public event of the 25th of January was well attended by 36 attendees with very good engagement. Many concerns and issues were resolved on the day, which resulted in fewer responses via email or the consultation portal. The 23 responses received are summarised in the report and in Appendix 1. In response to feedback, the draft plan has been strengthened to reflect climate change mitigations, which will be supported. It also outlines relaxed planning controls for the small number of more modern buildings to make interventions easier. The plan outlines how and when to successfully incorporate air source heat pumps, double or secondary glazing, solar panels and improved insulation, for example. This is a bold move, and we are opening the door for energy efficiency to enable the right intervention in the right place. Property owners and residents have options which will be considered favourably. Recommendations outlined in the draft report will be implemented when opportunities arise. During our discussions with both community groups, we've identified that the report can be a valuable tool to help future funding bids, which the Council is supportive of. I understand that the Development Trust are progressing a grant application to Historic Environments Scotland at this time. It's recognised that conservation areas encourage visitors to linger longer, contribute to the local economy, and also generate a sense of civic pride. I hope that this is of interest. Thank you for your time, and I'm happy to answer any queries you may have.
Thank you. Have we got any questions?
This is your area, Liz. We'll let you do it all.
Councillor Logue, have you got any questions?
I'm just curious,
thank you for the presentation. Looking through some of the responses, and especially one individual who says that they live in an area that's not in the current conservation area, but it will be in the expanded conservation area, and they have concerns regarding kind of alterations that they've done to their property. Could you just possibly comment on those comments there? Thank you.
Certainly. Is that the response relating to the former police house? Yeah. Okay. We have liaised with the respondent and helped to reassure them that any changes that they've made up until this point will not be required to be reinstated. We've assessed their house at this time and wish to include it in its current state. And that applies to all the additions within the conservation area boundary as well. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Yes, no, I do have a couple of questions.
Okay.
So I do welcome it, particularly the kind of relaxation around planning policy, because clearly that is an issue for some residents. I also think the looking at it from an eco and an energy point of view is really important. There was a project a few years ago, so before I was elected, it was the Strathpeffer Saves project, where the local community they invested in a worker to look at improving the environmental and heating of some of the houses, because in Strathpeffer we do have some elderly people who are in very big kind of villas that are not really very ecologically friendly. So that is really quite welcome. And of course, as you know, as most of the ward, we're off grid for gas. The one specific question that I have is around Mackay's Hotel. So this has been raised by the community, huge concerns around, I've had to get public health to go and have a look at it. Mackay's Hotel and the hotel in Garve appear to both be owned by the same company, but nobody seems to know where they are. I don't think they're in this country. And there is quite a lot of disquiet in the village about what it's actually being used for. So I noted in the report that you had added quite late, because you obviously got the information quite late, that rooms are being booked. So I went and had a look, and I think the rooms that are being used are in the Caberfay building. So when you're facing the hotel, the Caberfay building is that completely separate building that was always kind of in better condition. The actual hotel building itself is in a very, very, very poor state of disrepair. And I'm not quite sure the way forward, but I am raising community concerns around that at the moment. And I don't know if you can give any more information on it, or what the community can do if they feel it's posed. Well, I've had constituents come feeling it's actually posing a risk due to the state of disrepair and the rubbish that's been left around it.
Yeah. The management plan does mention concerns for the building, and we reflect the community's viewpoint on that as well. We understand that the building is owned by the same company that owns the neighbouring property, which there is evidence that is being let, and some work has been done to bring that up to standard, and we hope that the accompanying building will also be brought back into use. If there are concerns about the building, I would recommend that residents contact environmental health. And I can certainly come back to you. I don't know the full extent of the actions that a community can take, but I will happily investigate them on your behalf and come back to you with further responses if that's of help.
Sorry, that would be really useful.
Yeah,
thank you. Yeah,
no problem.
Because it is causing quite a lot of concern. and it is obviously within the conservation area.
Yeah.
Thank you. Any other questions? No? So as members, we are invited to note the public comments and agree the council response, and also agree to recommend that the Economy and Infrastructure Committee formally approve and adopt the Strathpeffer Conservation Area and Appraisal Plan, including the amended conservation area boundary. Are we happy to agree that?
Happy to agree.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Sarah.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
I think the next item is an update on the allocation process for the area share of invitation to pay income. And Willie, that's you, I think. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. The report provides some background on the invitation to pay for parking that was introduced to Ward 5 at the beginning of the 22-23 financial year. And 4.5 of the report confirms the allocation to the area committee after all the costs have been met, and a breakdown of the share available to communities where the income was raised. Members have been asked to approve the process for allocation of the area share as set out in section 5. And if approved, the ward management team will notify the community council and community trust in each area as to what share of the income is available to them, either for committing in this financial year or to roll over and add to next year's allocation. The groups will be invited to apply for funding towards a project that is a priority in their community. If the funds available are less than £10,000, approval of applications will be delegated to the senior ward manager, and if over 10,000, a decision will be subject to approval at a future area committee. At the end of the 23-24 financial year, a review of the process will be undertaken to consider any changes that may be required. That kind of concludes the report, and I'd be happy to take any questions from members.
Councillor Campbell? You're on mute.
What if a community trust and a community council don't agree on the applications coming forward to us?
Well, we would hope in discussion that we could encourage them to at least agree what they put forward, and if they end up putting forward more than one application, then they'll be considered as any other application would be if it was using the ward discretionary budget format. So, but certainly,
so we'll have to be judge and jury.
Well, you know, yeah, but potentially, depending how much it is, because if the allocation is under 10,000, then the actual delegator power sits with the senior ward manager, who is Dot Ferguson. But as I say, the ward management team will work with the communities, and we would hope to be able to encourage them that they come together with a priority for their community. Not specifically for that group, but we want them to look at what are the priorities in their community, and that's what we hope they'll do.
And another thing is, if the bid is costing more than the money, can it be used as a top-up fund to what they've already got from other bodies?
Yes, very much so. If they want to use it as match funding, that may help them secure other funds. So it doesn't have to be a project that's exact to the amount that's available. They can use that for another project that does cost more money, and therefore they have to find other sources of income for that.
Or it could be a project that costs less.
Yes, and then any excess funds will just roll forward to the next financial year. So it doesn't have to be spent in this year. It can be some or all of it can be rolled forward and added to next year's allocation.
Okay, somebody else?
Okay, you get anything, Councillor Logue? Yeah, so my comment is it's just very welcome. I know the communities have been waiting for this, and it's good to see some money from visitors coming back into the community. So so if there's no other questions or comments, we're invited to approve the proposed process that's in the paper for the area allocation of invitation to pay, and note that this process will be reviewed after the first year of implementation. Note that bids 10,000 and under will be assigned to the senior ward manager.
Patrick's point about the VAT, was that sorted?
Yes,
Yes, it was.
There's no cost coming off in terms of VAT.
Well, that's good. Thank
Yeah.
you.
So applications under 10,000 to be assigned to the senior ward manager for distribution, and over 10,000 would come to committee for approval. Are we happy to approve those points?
Happy to approve.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
So it's you again, Willie, I think, isn't it, to give us an update on the ward discretionary grants?
Yes, really just for noting the list of grants for the 22-23 financial year are there on your agenda, and the grants that have been awarded so far in 23-24 up to the point that the papers were produced. So that's the current situation, and it's really just for noting.
Okay, members happy to note that?
Noted.
Yeah. Okay, I think that is the end of the agenda. We presume our fire officers are, we hope they're all safe. Presume they're out dealing with the emergencies we have at the moment. So thank you all for coming. I think we can close the meeting.